Years ago, I developed a pattern. It was a takeoff from a Garside gurgler, and I wanted to adapt it more so size-wise and change the profile for lake fishing on the prairies. And so we came up with a pattern, and I just called it, GH's gurgler. It's a marabou tail or preferably a rabbit tail, um, ether foam or 6 mil or 9 mil booby tube foam for the back, and then a straggle of some type brill for the body. And then, so I do them in different color patterns. So I often do a cat whisker, so it's white, hot yellow, or white with chartreuse. I also do them in black. I do them in orange with gold body or silver tinsel bodies. And they just work. And I run it often on a washing line. It's probably my preferred fly as a point fly for a washing line. Um, Mostly because when it holds everything up, the leader and everything, the other two flies up high in the water column. It floats very well, whether I gink it or not. But the way the front end is shaped, when I pull the fly, it displaces a ton of water, makes a very loud noise. And if you fish it softly or gently, then it doesn't disturb the water as much as it should. And I'm finding with this pattern, the more water that you can disturb or send out a harmonic wave ahead of it, the better this fly works. So pretend you're, as a trout angler, pretend you're fishing bass or some other species, super heavy topwater oriented trout, and I'm finding this is working from early spring right through the mid-season into the late season. Right now we're in the late season scenario, and there's not, if you look on the lake, there's not a whole lot of activity of anything going on. So we're doing blind casts into areas where we think there should be fish, and we're coming up with some pretty outstanding fish today. We've just finished releasing a very stunning, beautiful rainbow, very fully colored, very very healthy. And when we pumped the stomach, it had a snail in it. So lo and behold, um, they are somewhat surface oriented. And if the fish are looking up, whether they're rainbows or tigers or browns, you'll just find this pattern works. And I don't limit it to anything specifically other than the fish being, working the top of the water column. And if they're in the top of the water column, I can get them to come to the fly pattern. And the fly pattern seems to send out sound signals that attract the fish. Does it scare some fish? Yeah, probably does. But I seem to attract a lot more fish to it and to my cast with my other two flies on the washing line. Um, and I fish it often. Like, I'm not one to get stuck on a singular method or tactic. I'll adapt to what the fish want. But I find I fish this now probably 40 to 50% of the time through the entire open water season. And it absolutely kicks fish. I mean, it catches fish. We've run it on place at times where there's no way it should work, or we think it shouldn't work. Thinking with our angler's brain, but it does. It. If I look at the full year of fishing and a few thousand fish, I probably took 30 to 40% of my fish on this gurgler method on a washing line, and I fish it either with a floating line and a 20-foot leader with two droppers and the gurgler, or I fish it on a hover line with two droppers and a gurgler. Um, the other thing about the gurgler is once it's actually sunk, because of the shape of the head, when it's subsurface, it walks like a crankbait. And I've caught tons of fish doing that with this fly, just slightly below surface down to maybe a foot. And it turns on fish. I just don't know what to say about it. It absolutely amazes me. I'm still stunned how well it does work. But I've been playing with this pattern now for 6 or 7 years on numerous lakes, not just on my favorite body of water here. And I've caught tigers and browns and rainbows and cutthroat on it. Um, it just works. It's simply a very effective fly as a point fly on a washing line. So hopefully you'll give it a go. We'll show how it works. We'll cast it out. I'll show you how it works and the kind of attitude you want it to incorporate into the fly. The overall size of it, I tie them on anything from a size 6 streamer hook, 2x strong, because it does catch big fish, down to a size 12. Again, mostly in the cat whisker, white, hot yellow, white chartreuse. The orange and gold works really well. Orange and silver works really well. Also, it's a visual aid. If it's not catching fish, it's now an indicator of your other 2 dropper flies. So that's a real key with this. So there's lots of pluses with this pattern. It'll work as an attractor, bring fish in by sound and vibration and sight. It works as an indicator. You'll see it take off on you in a different direction than what it should be fished. That obviously means that something's picked up one of your dropper flies. And it fishes subsurface, much like it'll wiggle like a crankbait. So there's a lot of pluses with this pattern, and it does more than one thing. I think that's the advantage of this pattern. It's capable of being fished in many conditions: sunny, cloudy, overcast, no wave to a heavy wave. Something kicks in, and
fish it very deep too.
it also fishes deep, so you can fish it down into sinking lines, hovers, and it'll pull down 2, 4, 5 feet. And again, it's working like a crankbait when you do that. So it shuffles back and forth. So there's a lot of pluses with this fly. Getting to learn it takes a few seasons because you need the different scenarios. Don't just take it out and expect to catch a fish on it. You might.
You will.
And you will, but it has so much to offer under so many different conditions in conjunction with other fly patterns.
Could I see the leader and the your leader set up on your flies?
So what I'm running now is just a floating line. It's an indicator line, so it's barred gray, light gray, dark gray. But on what I've done is I run a 20-foot leader. So here's my leader. I run 6 feet of 20-pound test. I run 2 feet to 3 feet of 15, 2 to 3 feet of either 10 or 12.
So it's tapered.
So it's tapered.
Mm-hmm.
Helps roll over.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm on a micro ring. And then, so this is what I call the casting section. And then the lower section we call the fishing section. So about a foot 16 inches from the micro ring down on the main leader fishing section. I have a dropper with in this case a red tag.
How long are your droppers?
In my droppers I run about hand width. I know some people run them longer, but I run them about hand width plus a thumb. So I've obviously made some changes today.
So 4 to 6 inches.
Yeah, so 4 to 6 inches,
okay.
And then 3 to 4 feet away, or up to 5 feet, I'll run a second dropper. And in this case, I have a cormorant pattern on, black and red cormorant. Again, on a dropper that's 4 to 6 inches in length, hand width plus a thumb. And then another 3 to 4 feet going to the gurgler. And so this is a gurgler pattern. And you can see the billed lip in the front, the shellback, the rabbit tail, and the underside. You can see in this case, it's a hot yellow straggle, a 15 mil straggle string, straggle leggy, I guess it's called, or grill. And I run orange thread as a tying thread. You can run whatever color you want, but that's what's working for me. So we'll just throw this out. I'll show you how to work it. This thing, because of this cupping in the front of the head, will actually push water forward when you pull it, and it'll be a pretty fast, hard pull. And you purposely want to make as much noise with it and displace as much water with it as possible, because that's what attracts the fish. And like I said, today we're more or less fishing blind instead of the sighted fish. and we're catching fish, and we're catching good fish. So the pattern itself is attracting fish. It's not us throwing to sighted fish that we know are working. We're just pulling them out of the blind, and that's shows you how versatile this pattern is as a result. So I'll make a cast. We'll cast it out. We'll see what happens. I'll turn the boat around a little bit, just so we have a better.
We'll go back in a little bit. There's fish behind you.
Of everything that's going on. Okay.
Okay.
Just turn that on.
Oh, look at that fish over there.
Yeah, so I'm just working the lost fish starting to move in here. It's actually hard to tell for a lot of people that the fish are this high in the water column. We don't need a lot of signatures, meaning rises like the one we just had there, to indicate that the fish are high in the water column. If there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 fish working in an area, the rest are maybe not showing themselves as readily, but they are all going to be in that same feeding zone.
Recording.
So if you can watch that gurgler, you'll see how I'm working it. The leader's tight now. See how it's working out there? It's making a lot of noise. We're very aggressive with it. Although we do hang it, let it pause. Give it 2-3 pulls, attract attention, let it pause. Give it a pull or two, another pull, let it come back to surface. Maybe figure of 8. That's all I'm doing now. That'll work the other 2 flies. See how it's still working, it's still pushing water. Do that again. Yeah, it's more of a how do you fish this part of the video that we're doing right now. Out, floating on the surface, you can see it way out there. Almost tight. There we go. See how that's working? See the disturbance it's making? Using to lengthen out my line.
Oh, behind you. Nice fish behind you.
Oop, there's a fish. You can see it just cruising by there.
Got him.
We got him on the drop instead.
Yeah, but the gurgler brought him in. Good fish?